O2 works for you Storm Shield Severe Weather Safety. Brought to you by Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
We are off to an active start to the severe weather season. 3 severe weather setups in 3 weeks. Hi, I'm Storm Shield Chief Meteorologist Brett Anthony. Thank you for joining us for our severe weather special. So what about the rest of the spring? Will it remain active? I use a new forecast tool to pick out some days when we could see severe weather. March 25th, an EF2 tornado hit Sand Springs. That same storm triggers 100-mile-an-hour winds that ripped the roof off of Aim High Academy. It was a weather setup that we saw coming since early February. How can we do this? Well, we use the LRC, or the Lizac recurring cycle theory. The theory states that every year beginning in October and ending in early November, a new and unique weather pattern will set up and then begin to cycle or repeat every so many days. This year's cycle, approximately 45 to 48 days. So what does the spring hold? Will it look like the winter weather pattern? Well, yes, it will. The spring weather pattern, remember, was established way back in the fall and has been repeating. So like winter, this spring we're going to see cold fronts come through. Maybe not as strong as they were in the wintertime, but cold fronts that will come through, and as they collide with warm, humid air, that will give us some chances for thunderstorms, maybe even a few severe thunderstorms. The second dominant weather pattern that we have to talk about is the El Nino influenced weather pattern. We saw that showing up at the end of winter and at the beginning of spring, and that has been this persistent west to east flow. We've had several setups, rainy days about every 4 to 5 days, and a couple of severe weather days because of that. We've also seen some warm, dry weather up across the northern part of the United States, so we'll see that. The third dominant weather pattern we'll experience in the spring will be this large ridge in the middle part of the country. We'll call this the warm phase of the weather pattern. This will produce our first 90-degree day, and it may come before the end of April, certainly by the beginning of May. So let's talk about severe weather and the way the weather pattern has been cycling. We've already seen severe weather on the 2nd and on the 8th, and now it looks like things quiet down just a little bit, but still a couple of chances headed through the 16th. There might be a dry week as we go into that warm phase with that big high overhead. So we might see our first 90-degree day in this week right here, and then we'll close out the month with another chance for severe weather. Now, May offers up some bigger severe weather chances on the 4th and the 8th and around the 24th, 29th, and the 31st. Those might be our worst severe weather episodes of the entire spring. June, things start to calm down, but we might see some heat building in here between June 8th and the 13th and June 15th and the 20th. So get ready for some June heat waves. All right, so here's the spring forecast. We're talking about above average temperatures, near average rainfall, and those June heat waves. So even though the temperatures at times might be a little hot and might be a little cool, when it's all averaged out, it should be slightly above average. The rainfall, I think, will catch up. We'll fall behind, but then we'll catch up quickly with some heavy rainfall producing rains coming up in May and parts of June. And of course, it looks like we could see our first maybe 100-degree day in June. Remember, you can always get more from my forecast by following me on Twitter or on Facebook. For an updated look on the spring outlook, check out my video blog at KJRH.com. All right, it's time to review what to do in case a tornado warning is issued. One simple phrase to remember: get in, get down, and get covered. Statistics show that more people survive tornadoes when they are in some kind of shelter. That's why it's important to take shelter during a tornado warning. In your home, the basement is the safest place if you do not have a storm shelter. If you do not have a basement, go to an inside bathroom or closet with no windows. Try and grab a bicycle or motorcycle helmet or some kind of protection for your head, and then put a mattress or pillows on top of you. New technology is giving us even more lead time when it comes to seeking shelter during a tornado warning, and we all know the tracking of storms is vital for the Sooner State. Now, new technology helps us do that with more accuracy. 2 News Storm Shield meteorologist Brittany Rainey shows us efforts to use new dual pole technology.
Seeing this on radar before we see it on the ground.
So more than likely, that's just kind of noise.
It could be mostly rain.
That's what students at the National Weather Center in Norman are learning about.
This is the O2.
Dual pole technology. It allows them to predict severe weather faster and more accurately.
Yeah, that's an indication of upgrade.
Yeah.
So for the very first time with dual pole radar, we have an opportunity of looking inside the storm and determining what capabilities and threats exist within that storm itself.
So more than likely, that's just kind
Dual
of
pole acts like a storm MRI. It uses a 2-point radar sweep, one sweeping horizontally and one vertically.
Debris signatures, you can tell quite easily that there's a debris signature. If it's close enough to the radar, you can tell that there's a tornado there. And especially in the Tulsa vicinity, where you have a lot of hills, a lot of trees.
the fringe of the storm.
In a pilot program, the NWS is teaching the meteorological community how to use dual pole. The training helps keep the public ahead of any potentially threatening storms.
We can also look for certain patterns of precipitation within the storm to determine whether it has a tornadic threat or a non-threat. And this is very, very important. It allows us that extra lead time to make better decisions.
You can see how sheared it is.
Dual pole has the potential to give people more warning if a tornado threat is imminent.
Our focus is providing the best services to the public. That means effective weather warnings. That's lead time, probability detection, low false alarm rates.
It's not just tornadoes. It can help meteorologists pinpoint the areas where flooding poses a danger, changing technology and education to keep you and your family safe when weather takes a turn for the worse. Brittany Rainey, 2 News works for you.
Being ready for severe weather season takes a little pre-planning, so let's take a look at some things you'll need. First off, have plenty of food and water for 3 days. At least 1 gallon of water per person per day. Don't forget a flashlight with extra batteries. A cell phone with a charger is handy. If your family has special needs or infants, make sure you plan accordingly for them. Pack things like baby formula and diapers. It may also be a good idea to keep a similar emergency kit in your car. Another thing you'll want to prepare for this severe weather season, hail. 2 News meteorologist Taft Price shows us how to prepare before the next storm hits.
Researchers have now found a way to test for hail damage. For 4 minutes, they pummel a house, car, and patio furniture with more than 8,000 hailstones. The test gives researchers new insight on damage caused by hail.
Most of the damage was on the roof, which is what we would expect because the roof is your first line of defense.
They even came to Oklahoma for field research before doing this test. Results show building materials make a difference when it comes to the amount of damage.
When you get up there and look at the roof, the impact rated product has done much better.
They also say putting a new roof over an existing roof can create air pockets and lead to larger pock marks. Something else to keep in mind when putting on a new roof.
Our typical recommendation is when you're putting a new roof on, take it down to the deck and put the material on there so it's got a nice solid foundation, and then it will perform better. The roofs are the most important thing to get right.
After a storm, there are always some contractors who try to profit off people's losses. Homeowner Sandy Spiegel found out the hard way.
I was shocked that I was taken advantage of. I was hurt. I was upset.
A contractor's shoddy work could have killed her. She also had to shell out thousands more to have it fixed correctly.
Technology can only take us so far. Straight ahead, we'll introduce you to some of the people who risk their lives in order to save yours.